Aatika, good
Hello.
afternoon / evening. I think good evening actually, because it's quite late outside. Right, thank you so much for making the time to be here today. Right, okay, so thank you for submitting your report. And I know there were some pressing circumstances that affected how early you were able to submit that report. So bearing that in mind, so of course we haven't had as much time to digest the report as much as we would have, especially with the chunk of actions that we gave you. So we're going to start with sort of like a verbal sort of like feedback concerning some of the actions that we gave you and some of the work that you've done between previous panel and today. So yeah, just give us a brief 5 minutes of like summary of some of the stuff that you've done, then we'll ask you some more specific things, please.
Okay, so you're asking me for a summary. Okay, so I don't have it open in front of me, but off the top of my head, since the last time I spoke to you guys, this last Scrutiny Panel, I would say the main big campaign I was working on was Black History Month, and that was executed. What I've been working on, though, because I feel as though during Black History Month I didn't get to do all of the things I wanted to do or highlight Black history and platform Black voices as much as I would like to have. So I am working with the comms team to put up an exhibition in February, beginning of February, because January is a bit of a hectic time. I'm also working with the university, I guess you would call them EDI leaders from the university. The university has a Black History 365 initiative, and I thought it would be really great to work with them to not sort of limit Black history to a month, but, you know, platforming Black voices and amplifying them throughout the year. So that was the biggest thing I've worked on. Apart from that, there was also a lot of work with regards to timetabling. I touched on that a bit last time. Neela and I were taking the lead on that. Lots of reactionary work, so sitting on interview panels, recruitment panels for the associate dean roles, as well as for academic coordinator. Then obviously sitting on the committees and the boards that I do sit on, including the governing body, which I have to sit on as president. So off the top of my head, those are the main things that are standing out. A win that I had yesterday that I would like to add is getting the lower deck to, or rather our deputy head of commercial services to commit to bringing non-alcoholic options for January, because January is of course dry January, and we do have a large student population that doesn't drink, and if we want to, you know, have them feel welcome to come in our outlets, we need to have options that they actually feel welcome them. So yeah, I'm really sorry, that's just off the top of my head. It wasn't too extensive.
That's okay, that's good, and that is a win. Congratulations. Okay, so some of the actions that we asked for last time, I suppose we'll start with the biggest one, was the year-long plan for your campaigns with measurable indicators, showing how you're going to deliver your campaigns on the campuses and how you're going to measure whether or not your campaign was a success. Because you just mentioned that, of course, with your Black History 365 campaign during the month of October, and a bit beyond maybe, didn't necessarily have as much of a, not necessarily just a response, but you didn't get to really flesh out what you wanted to flesh out. So, okay, great, that's good. So in terms of this year plan for your campaigns and measurable indicators, have you started that? Or do you have like a skeleton or an outline?
I have started. So looking at the other campaigns that I have, so obviously there is the Black History, beyond Black History Month, which you know, the Know Your Black Britain exhibition is scheduled for February. We decided that today with comms. I am also working on the Global Village, which I'll be doing in tandem with Jabed, something as part of something like a cultural fortnight where I get to decide how long it's going to be, but we're thinking 2 weeks, and that would be mid-February, so that can coincide with International Mother Language Day. So that's set to be mid-February. As far as the other campaign that I'm working on at the moment, which is Know Your Rights or Know Your Student Rights, I'm currently working with the head of advice and policy on that. So I'm actually meeting with him tomorrow. So we've started, I guess, the skeleton of these campaigns. As far as the COVID conscious one, which wasn't initially in my manifesto, something I wanted to do from the offset, but it's something that is more, I guess, in reaction to the pandemic world that we live in. That's something that's going to be relaunched in January, and hopefully, with more of a bang than it did have in September. So those are the timelines that we're looking at. You mentioned, of course, all 3 campuses. As far as the Know Your Student Rights campaign, that's not so much something that has a physical presence at the moment. We're not planning anything physical for it. So it's online, and that, of course, would give accessibility to people in all campuses, as is the COVID conscious one. We've sort of given out material and stuff during Welcome, but also in Medway and in Avery Hill, and we plan to replicate that there. And the facts and graphics that we project on screen for the campaign will be across all 3 campuses. The Know Your Black Britain exhibition will be a travelling exhibition, so it would be a week here, and then a week in Medway, and then a week in Avery Hill. So those are the campaigns that I'm currently working on, and of course the Global Village. Medway has their own sort of cultural celebration in March, so we're planning to bridge that with what we're planning mid-February. So yes, we very much with the intention of having something present in all campuses.
All right, cool. Okay, the thing is that sounds wonderful, and it does. But the unfortunate side of it is that, of course, that plan was something that we really did hope to look forward to see in this board. Not this board. Wow, my goodness. Wow, board. Wrong word. In this panel, fantastic. To see in this panel, because I don't want to say it's an insurance for us, but it's something that we did sort of come to an agreement that we did definitely want to see by this panel. And it hasn't been done, and that is a little bit disappointing. So I suppose my following up question on that is, because it sounds like you haven't, it's not as if these ideas are just floating in the air. You've clearly thought about them. So you've had some time to, think about them and move forward on them. So what we really would like to see is this actual plan come to tangibility, so we can, pick your brain on it a bit more, discuss on it a bit more, and also see those indicators, those measurable indicators for the success of your campaigns. Because the thing is that we want your campaign to succeed. That's the point. We want your campaign to succeed. And if we have nothing to show that you've measurably thought about how it is you're going to deliver some of these campaigns, then we can't really rest assured that they're going to happen the way that you plan for them to happen. So that outline, that plan is very, very, very important to us, and we will definitely be chasing you up on that, because we do need that. Yes. And then of course,
that's completely understandable. And hopefully by the next time whether that's during the next scrutiny panel or before that, there will be something more concrete, because as far as the Know Your Black Britain exhibition, this is something that was planned a while back, but because of how hectic October was with Black History Month, and then Shag Week, and then Green Week, and then Shag Week, and going into November, and then Disability History Month, comms were quite busy, and it was actually only today that I got the chance to actually put in a date and say, all right, this is, you know, when we're going to book out so and so spaces. This is when everything's going to be ready. We already have the boards printed out. It's just that, so to give you a little sneak preview, it's basically we have several boards with about 20 something items of things pertaining to Black Britain. They come with a QR code, so when students are walking about looking at it, they scan the QR code and it takes them to a web page with some more information and resources. So the boards are ready. It's just the material that the QR code leads you to. Some of it that's still being compiled. Perhaps I should have mentioned that in the report, but that's what's ready. As far as the COVID conscious campaign, we're looking to relaunch that with the beginning of term. And of course, we produce things like this, you know, for the COVID conscious campaign in September. But this time round, we're displaying a bunch of like sort of did you knows onto the screens. Basically, all these facts that are sort of verified, mythbusters, things like that, and projecting those onto the screens at in Avery Hill, Medway, and Greenwich. So I'm not sure if that's the kind of detail that you're looking for, but that's what it is. And as far as the Know Your Rights campaign, this too is also in its very early stages. So hopefully the next time we catch up on this, there'll be more information.
I may have to pause you just there. I'm so sorry, Aatika. We're moving with a really constricted time period, and all these questions are very, very important. We will address them, but there are some other things that we need to get through as well. Okay, cool. So we will definitely come back to that's really a big thing for us. The plan for your campaigns, the plan for cross-campus delivery, and we'll return to that. Don't worry, we'll return to that. Okay. Actually, I did have a question. You'll Know Your Black Britain campaign. So I had a look at the expenditure that you indicated on the report. That's a hefty sum of money for a campaign. So what was that spent on?
It was spent. So I said that the boards are actually produced, right? So that was spent on the printing, on making the boards. So that expenditure's already done. It's not something that's going to come up again when we actually erect the exhibition, since everything's already printed. So that's basically what it was for producing the boards, the art.
I see. That's expensive art, but wow. Okay. At least we have an indication. All right, cool. I'll hand over to Sophie for our next question, I suppose. And then we'll be back soon.
Hi, Aatika. So I just wanted to ask about. I apologise for my voice. On reflection of Black History Month, what would you say, looking back on it now? What would you say? What would you reflect on?
Okay, so I definitely have a lot of reflections from Black History Month. One thing, well, not one thing, two main things is I need to ask for help more from my colleagues, from the staff around me, because there is a lot of support for us officers, and I didn't utilize all of that support. I was trying to play martyr. I don't want to inconvenience anyone, so I'll just do this by myself. But it doesn't make for a good campaign when you're trying to do a billion things, and you obviously can't do a billion things on your own. So that's one thing that I would definitely do next time, is actually use staff support. And another thing is, I guess this is sort of related, but delegating. So seeing the campaigns of the other officers, they're happy to delegate. They're not shy to ask staff, like, can you pick this up for me? That's something that I need to do more of. And even though Black History Month was right at the beginning of the academic year, I need to block periods of time out to focus on my campaigns. So one thing that I always repeat is that I don't want to look back at the end of the year and say that, oh, I went to a bunch of meetings, because there are certain things that I'm here to execute, including campaigns like Black History Month. And so in hindsight, I definitely should have blocked out more time and been unapologetic about that. Like, no, if someone else can sit on this meeting that I don't need to be in, I can use this time to work on a campaign for the students. And that's definitely something I'm planning to do going forward with the other campaigns that I have.
Perfect, thank you. And just as a follow-up to your question, you mentioned in your report that there was a post-assessment carried out on engagement and improvement. I was wondering if that had been conducted yet, and if there was any outcomes of that report yet.
Yeah, so it was conducted, it was already conducted. It was conducted, I think, like the week after Black History Month or 2 weeks after Black History Month, with a member of staff. And a lot of those reflections featured in it. Things about, you know, how time can be better managed next time, how we can get more engagement, how to, I guess, just give students incentive to be in those spaces. What can we do that's different? Because, you know, students aren't, a month full of lectures isn't gonna necessarily get students like, yay. So really just thinking about how we can do something different, how we can get more engagement, and how planning in the future can go smoother and more efficient, and also in a way that protects my mental health, doesn't see me working until the hours of the night. So yes, that's been conducted, and those were some of the reflections that came of it.
Okay, great. Thank you for answering my questions.
Thank you, Sophie.
All right, great. I'm back. Right, okay. So going back to your actions, because this is the very, very cool key part of, well, the panel, to produce actions and then have the actions manifest afterwards. So you mentioned, no, not you mentioned, we mentioned, it was the action that we gave you, concerning mature students and the work that you were going to do for them, which wasn't represented in your report previously. So I believe we asked for you to add this and also explain what it is that you will be doing for them. So yes, could you please explain that a bit more, and then also whether or not you have done it?
Okay. So for mature students, I knew that I wanted to look out for mature students' interest based on the experience that I had with the retention project. So a lot of mature students speaking about how they don't feel able to engage, whether that's because of their age or their caring responsibilities or whatever. But that's as much as I know about them. I don't know the details. I don't know the data. So our head of student voice is contacting someone from the university to bring me data about mature students, you know, to understand the demographics a bit more. So that's something that's being collated, although I don't have it in my hands right now. And our head of student voice and our head of student policy, advice and policy, are coming up with a means of consultation that actually works, because surveys, not all students interact with them. Forums, if you're a mature student who's, you know, who also has a family, it's not going to be the most feasible for you to take out large chunks of your time to sit in you know, forums. So our head of student voice and our head of advice and policy are devising a consultation format for me. They said that they'll be in touch with that soon. I think they said that going to be done with a draft paper sometime this week as to how that consultation format is going to go, and not just for mature students, but they're planning to have it be a consultation format, you know, for other groups as well. So I'm yet to hear on that, but the only action that's been taken with regards to that, with regards to mature students, is getting data on demographics so we can better understand who the mature students are and what they might need from us.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is that you don't necessarily know what it is that you're going to be doing for them just yet.
No, not until the data and until that consultation process is put out.
Okay, all right. Data collection is important. I do agree with you. But then also that is another thing that was in your actions that we did expect to see, and a plan, maybe not a plan, that wasn't necessarily a plan so much, but an idea of what it is that you'll be doing for your mature students, that you're presenting. And then of course to add that to your report. So again, a little disappointing that we haven't received that from you. But okay, still in your actions, because there are still some other actions that we've got to address and move with. Of course, producing a physical representation of the joint ambitions of you and your team, because there are a lot of areas where your work overlaps. And I believe we did say that we wanted a bit more evidence of the cohesiveness of the work in every team. So with regards to that, what has been done so far?
So this, I know that I didn't properly represent it in the report. And with the other stuff, I thought, oh, maybe, that works, but I wasn't really sure in the report how to best represent that. But the
just
things
before you
that...
continue, we've got 5 minutes left in this bracket of time. So
okay. So the things that as far as things that overlap with other officers and the work that I've been doing with them, Jabed, working with him on cross-cultural awareness. We're going to be working on the cultural fortnight together, planning on that. And with Zoe, it's more the student activism stuff. So actually, after this meeting, I have a meeting with her on Student Activism Week, which we're planning to sort of fuse with the Know Your Rights campaign. There is a lot of overlapping there. With Neela, I don't have, obviously, as student officers, we have hopes to see students succeed and be represented and stuff, but I can't think of any big ticket items in which we overlap. The nearest thing to that, I would say, is meeting with Green and Grace, which is, I mentioned in the report, a company that provides sustainable period products. Neela is planning to work on a period awareness campaign. And one thing that we share is an interest and a love of sustainable sanitary products. So that's the closest thing that I would say we're working on. I guess I can also add to that, now thinking about it, is commercial. So one thing that I expressed to Neela before is how I want to, since she's the officer lead for commercial outlets, I wanted to work on bringing more options to the lower deck. At the moment, this isn't something that I've been working with her on. It's sort of something that I've just kept her in the loop in, and gone directly to the head or deputy head of commercial services. But I think once January comes around and we actually start bringing these things into the outlet and begin promoting these products as part of, Dry January, I think Neela and I will get more of a chance to work on that together.
Okay. So the ideas are there, but again, we'd like to see more evidence of it happening. And okay, so still in your actions in this bracket with the 3 minutes that we have left.
Can I ask something? So how would you best like to see this represented? So my saying, I've had meetings with so and so. What is it that you would like to see? Would you like to see the plans that came out of our working together, or? Okay.
That would be great. And then of course, with every meeting there are minutes. So the outlines of the purposes of the meeting, the outcomes of the meeting, and actions that are going to be taken as a result of the meetings. Okay, so I think probably the last thing that we'll address with the time that we have remaining, because I think we may need a follow-up session to get a bit more of the content of your work as opposed to the reflection of your actions, is of course with the submission of the report. So of course, this time around, of course, you were unwell, and that is fine. We're not going to penalize you for your health. That doesn't make any sense. But that there's still consecutive times where your report has been late for submission. And of course, there are other factors that are at play. But then at the end of the day, you are the president of our SU, and so we hold you to a slightly higher standard than the rest of the other officers. And something that we really, really do need to see is a commitment to submitting that report on time, because not only does it help us in the preparation of this panel to scrutinize your work, but also at the same time, it shows a lot of diligence on your side when you can say that, okay, this is the work that I'm going to do, this is the work that I have done, and you can hold it and bring it as a tangible thing to us with clear time, showing that really and truly you are very serious about the work that it is that you're carrying out. And we can see that in your passion. You are serious about the work that you're going to be carrying out. But we definitely do need more critical, tangible, visible demonstrations of that. And that comes in submission of your report, that comes in the responses to the actions that we've previously set. So I believe, so we will have to bring this panel to a conclusion, but we will be in touch with some feedback, and then also possibly some extended time away from this panel to reflect and to really talk about more of the content of your work as opposed to other things involved as well. Is that all right?
That sounds good. And that's really fair what you said about the timing. Can't fault that.
Great. So thank you so much for